What's up, guys? Went ahead. I ordered the brake pads for the front, shoes in the rear. I didn't do any hardware or nothing like that. Everything would look like it was in pretty good shape. But I just wanted to make stuff look a little bit better. I'm not trying to make this a show car by any means. Like, this is just a little toy. I went ahead, painted the calipers last night, painted the caliper bracket. I did paint the rotor too. I sanded the surface all down on the hub, inside and out, and on the face of the hub too. But I went back and I painted the outside of the rotor too, because just trying to cover up some of the rust. And this part here was real rusty too, which I took that back down to like bare shiny metal, and I scuffed the side of the hat up just a little bit, just to give the paint something to stick to. But let me show you this other side. I haven't put this side back together yet. See, I went ahead and sanded all that down, or I used like a Roloc, sorry. But I have painted rotors multiple times, but I usually get them machined afterwards, and I didn't really plan on getting these machined. Well, I painted the surface. I mean, I did it on purpose, but I was just gonna take a Roloc and scuff it back down because I was kind of lazy to tape it off. So went ahead and just painted the whole thing, just threw a couple, 2 coats of paint on everything just to make it look a little bit better. And like I said, I was gonna take a Roloc and just scuff the paint back off, make it kind of shiny again. Well, that ended up being kind of a nightmare. It gummed up the Roloc disc real bad, so I ended up having to take a wire wheel on my drill to get most of the paint flaked off of it. And I didn't push real hard or anything like that. I didn't want to dig down into the rotor. And then once I basically got the paint off of it, then I went back with the Roloc and just kind of like tried to smooth everything down, which I still got to do this one. That's why it's still black. But, I didn't, on my more expensive cars and deeper projects, I get, I'll paint like both sides of stuff. I get a little carried away sometimes, but like I said, I kind of just did this just to try to get stuff to look a little bit better. So I kind of only painted the stuff you're really gonna see. So I kind of just, painted the fronts of everything, because also, on the rotor, I gotta still clean all this off. But I went ahead and Roloc'd the inside, like I was saying, of the hat of the rotor. And then like as you can see back here, the paint kind of transferred when it was just sitting down on the face. So like I said, I didn't get too carried away. Even the back of the caliper I didn't do, because on my bigger projects, I do the inside out. I normally tape off the pistons and everything, which I did tape off the rubber, the grommets for all the sleeves and stuff. Like, go ahead and peel some of that off of there. And I did go ahead and tape off the bleeders too, just to keep the paint from caking down inside of those. But I went ahead also, I didn't get this on video or nothing, but I did go ahead and do the drums, painted the drums up and everything. Already put the new shoes and everything in there. The hardware looked pretty decent. Adjusted the coilovers on it. Originally, I seen they were 2 different heights when I got the car, so I lowered this one to match the rear on the other side. Well, after jacking it up and letting it back down a few times, the rear sat pretty low. So I went ahead and just, bumped this side up to match what the other side was. Just kind of going to see where it sits there, which, it's got the adjustable camber arm on it too. And one other thing I found is it this side? Oh yeah. So you can see the paint's rubbed off there. And then if you come over here to the other side, the paint is rubbed off here. But that same spot in the front isn't rubbed off. And the same way on the other side, this back side isn't rubbed off. And I ended up, because I couldn't understand why the car was like basically coming to a complete stop the few times I've had to push it around. And got to thinking about it. Somebody had the rack and pinion and steering wheel like clocked wrong. So what I had to do, the flashlight's not in here. Let me grab this real quick. I don't know if you all have ever messed with anything like this. What I had to do was come in here and this, trying to get a best view I can here. This joint right here, there's a 10mm bolt, which the head of it's on the other side right now. And then there's a 10mm bolt there. And what I had to do was take both of those bolts out. And because what was happening is I would turn the steering wheel. Actually, let me see if I can turn it right now. I think I've got everything back together close enough. What was happening is I would turn it this way, but the steering wheel would like go quite a bit further. Then I would turn it back this way, and then this side would stop about like right there. So I knew that it wasn't clocked right. So like I said, I steered it back the one way, got it centered, and then I went just slightly more about that. And then I took the joint off down there. And then once it was off, I left the rack completely still. And then I straightened the steering wheel up. And then I bolted everything back up down there. And then also for the time being, what I went ahead and did was the tie rods, because also I knew something was wrong because I only had 4 threads on the inner tie rod right here, because you can kind of see the clean like rusty look right there. I only had 4 threads showing there, and then on the other side I had like 12 threads showing. So I knew it was some kind of like clocking issue. So for the time being, I just kind of counted. There's about 8 threads on the inners, or on the outers, right? Or yeah, inners, my fault. 8 threads on each side on the inners now. And that's just to get it back in the ballpark. Eventually, I'll get everything lined or aligned. Just for the time being, I wanted it to, kind of roll good and steer good and everything. I think my computer is actually supposed to show up soon, so hopefully we'll get to hear this thing run. Like I said, I've gone through quite a few things on it. Like I said, these 2 injectors were crossed wire-wise, and these are like some cheap Amazon injectors on it too, which I do have some fuel injector development injectors. I believe they're supposed to be 1,000 cc's, which I need to call the company and verify that. I'm not sure if there's a way to actually tell for sure, because actually the guy I got the car from told me they were injector dynamic, which he just said they were ID 1000s, which that may have been a mistake on his end, just because he kind of bought the car like this too, and he tried a few things to get it started. but I'm pretty sure it just needs that chipped and socketed, or that the P28, and you know that's going to convert it back to the OBD1 stuff. But it's coming along. I got to finish up the brakes today, probably put the wheels and stuff back on it, did the steering stuff, and hopefully the computer's supposed to be here any minute, so I'll definitely do a follow-up video when I get the computer, and then definitely let you guys know. Try to do a startup video on it too. I'm anxious to hear this thing run. I don't know if I told you guys yet, but I did have to go through and get the intercooler pipes all like mounted, and I had to trim. I had to trim the silicone coupler that connects this pipe to the turbo. It was like the car has only been pushed around, and like there's already scratches on some of that, so I had to kind of reclock the turbo slightly too, just to make everything get up as high as possible. Which also, I think in my last video I kind of showed you guys the front bumper being back on here, which I wish they wouldn't have cut the fog lights out as big as they did. Also shows them tiny little intercooler pipes, and then also, you know, they cut the exhaust for the bumper too, which I did order a universal, like, do-it-yourself exhaust kit. And for the time being, I'm probably just gonna use the bumper exit for now, because I'm trying to get to where you guys can see the downpipe right now. I did have to order the factory, or not the factory, but had to get a replacement upstream O2, and I didn't want to just buy no cheap, which, I mean, it still didn't cost a whole lot of money, but I wanted to make sure name brand wise it was good, and that was a Denso sensor. Actually, while this is jacked up, there's the downpipe. I'm trying to stay out of the sun here, which, you know, it is way too close to like the exit of the exhaust. I think it's gonna be good enough to like at least test start it, but I don't think we could do any tuning as close as the O2 sensor is to the exit of the exhaust, because I think ideally you're supposed to be about 18 inches away from like the engine or like the turbo, and then also you should be about 18 inches from the exit of the exhaust too. So I mean, this exhaust is only, you know, 10-12 inches long, so that's kind of hard to do. That's why I'm gonna extend it some. And I did also, I think I got it back here, I did order the AEM wideband for it. I've actually had a few of these on different cars. Probably end up doing like an unboxing video on that. I love opening new stuff like this, but definitely gonna be putting that on, especially before like any tuning starts happening. But probably just gonna end it off there for now. It's definitely coming along pretty well. As soon as I get this computer, everything should start moving a little bit faster. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you in the next.